seconds left.
Namaste and a very, very good evening to all the audience present here. Hi, this is Hiran Bagadia and I am the admin for Vadodara chapter. Well, I used to get you the Thursday for toys, yes. And guess what we have today? We have our expert talk today. Wonderful. I'm so excited because today I have Miss Mital Salia. Hi, Mital. How are you?
Hello, I'm fine, thank you.
Yeah, so Mital is a game therapist, an unschooler mom, a passionate traveler, and an upcoming author. I can't wait for your book, Mital. and uh, well, to mention about Mittal's profile, oh, she has such an impressive profile, and I'm sure you too will be impressed by the same. She's a constant learner. She has done her diploma in training and development, clinical hypnotherapy. She's a master at NLP practitioner, diploma in experiential education and practices, and an 18 years of rich experience just in education domain. Well, she has previously worked for top educational companies doing content development, teacher training for the BMC funded School of Excellence program. Wow. And she's the founder director of Kale May, a company that believes in bringing back the culture of playing games in every home. Something I think that is lost out in these advent of all the gadgets. So Kale May has been running annual programs for children that focus just on life skill development. And yes, that is the topic for our day, games, a tool for life skill development. Oh, if you look at the achievements of Miss Mittal, she's a firm believer in giving importance to this life skills and survival skills, and she has taken a bold step of unschooling her only son. That's quite a step, Mittal. Given the thing that I think most parents are actually scared of, and they're always
What
wondering which
will
school to send them, which classes to send them, what next to do. On that you have unschool your child. That's something applaudable. She has a deep passion in games, and that has strengthened her research in neurology and psychology of games. So, with her collection of nearly 500 games, she has become a brain fitness coach, and she's going to highlight, the role and importance of games in reverse aging of brain. Now, this is something new, Mithil. So, as I said, she has a very, very impressive profile. Mithil, thank you for coming to us at Parent Station
thank
for
you so
Thursday for
much.
Choice. What an honor to have you as an expert today. So, Mithil, when I heard about game therapist, that you're a game therapist, so I was like, do we really need, therapy for games? So, what exactly is game therapist? I think, including me, there are so many who have this in the mind that game therapy, are ye kya hai?
Yes, so it's a term I created about 2, 3 years back. And it was like, just like doctors prescribe medicines, the same way when people come to me that, I want to change this, I want to improve this behavior, what do? I prescribe games. And if you see in anything in life, when there is a therapy involved, where there's something you have to take medicine, or you have to
Yeah.
do dieting, or you have to do exercise, things which are not very pleasurable or fun. But here it's like you have a problem and all you have to do is play games. It's like, imagine a doctor tells you that subah ye game khelo, dopahr ko ye game khelo, sham ko ye game khelo.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, so if I have to put it in a short, Game therapy is basically a process where just through playing games we can change behavior, or we can deal with emotions, or we can even deal with strengthening or empowering different parts of the brain to make them function in a certain manner.
Wow. Okay. So I think that covers the holistic development for a human being. That you're covering all the aspects and areas of development, right from I think early childhood till 99. Can I say that?
Yes, absolutely.
Perfect. So, Mithil, our topic was, that it's about therapy and, how games are used as a life skill, a tool for life skill development. So, please, if you can tell our audience, what are life skills first?
Okay, so life skills are any of the skills which we require to be successful or to ace through the different functions of our life. So, the moment we drop college, the first thing that will happen is we'll enter into a career, either a business or a job. Then, even after marriage, when we have responsibilities, so all the skills that are required, whether we talk of the thinking, the critical thinking, or the problem solving ability, or the socio emotional ability to deal, to tolerate, to manage people, all of this, or the social quotient to socialize with people, because we all are social beings. So all of those skills would come under life skills, whether it's the intellectual skills or the emotional skills or the social skills or the spiritual skills. Everything will fall into life skills.
Okay. All right. So, is there a connection between games and life skill development, the various skills that you mentioned?
Yes, absolutely. I'll just give a little background to our education system, or the way we are being raised. So if we look at our education system, it does cover a lot of academic subjects. But if I say, does our education teach us logic? Does it teach us strategy? Does it, provide with a proper systematic emotional quotient to be developed, then that is missing. Social quotient, yes, it is there because we are into that school setup where we have a lot of children all around us. But the thinking ability, the other intellectual abilities are often missing in the school life, especially the higher order thinking skills such as strategy, uh, applying logic, all that things. So there's no such subject or classroom which teaches thinking. And of course it's not a blackboard that can ever teach you thinking. Thinking is something which you have to exercise and practice.
Right.
And this is where I see games playing a very important role, because and one very very important part about games is games help, they have a lot of fun element. So whatever we are doing, we are into that safe environment, we are not into
Right.
any danger. When we are practicing a life skill, we are not into danger. At the same time, one simple example that I can give is, as when I was a child, I used to play a game called Brain Vita, which is that
Yeah.
solitaire or that marbles game, where
Bubble game.
you have to cross the marble, you have to jump over another, and
Right.
finally only one marble should be left. Now, I must have played it hundreds of times, and probably at first 20, 30 times, it was never that I was left with one marble. Back then, we did not have YouTube or any algorithms or the methods. So we used to try these. Now, imagine 20, 30 times I failed doing it, and yet I did not feel low. I did not feel bad. Oh my God, I failed. This is what happens in academic subject, that if you fail in something, you have this stigma, you have this bad feeling. But when it's a game, if you fail, you have that, I feel you have more zest, you have more energy, that next time I'm going to win this, next time I'll make that other person lose. So this is one most important thing, that through games we are learning failure, which otherwise is not taught to us. We are learning to deal with stress, and at the same time, depending on the game that we choose, we are stimulating the brain to develop different thinking skills or different life skills within us. So that completely depends on the choice of games.
Okay. So, when we say, okay, so I understand that, to develop a lot of skills, games are important, as you mentioned, the higher order thinking skills, the analytical thinking, the logical thinking, all of these. So, is there a therapy for that? Like, what exactly is game therapy, if I put across as?
Okay, so it's like, there are two parameters to this, or there are two aspects to this. One, as you also mentioned in my CV, thing that we've been doing since last 6 years, we are we are conducting this games classes for children which are around the year. Just like you have an English class or a science class across the year, we have a game class where the kids come and play games. Now, in this, there is a proper curriculum, and in this curriculum, we are ensuring to cater to at least 12 different type of thinking skills, as well as socio emotional skill, as well as all of these, even the lower order thinking skills. So through a curriculum, we are providing game therapy, as in we are ensuring that all kind of thinking skills and socio emotional skills are developed, which are required to be successful, or which are required when you grow up. So that's one thing. And the other thing is, when people come to us saying that, my child is projecting a certain behavior, or I want to change this behavior, or there are certain skills which are, they are falling short of, or when we do an aptitude test and they will say your verbal reasoning is lower, or your visual spatial skills are low. So all
Yeah.
of these things can be corrected through games. And it's not just with kids, it can be for adults, it can be for senior citizens as well. So uh, basically, game therapy will have something like
Okay. I think that Miss Mittal is having some bandwidth issues. She'll just be with us shortly. Yes, we have Miss Mittal back with us. Yes, Mittal.
Yeah, I'm not sure if you heard me out till the end.
No, we could not. We missed you out. So if you can just, please, if you can repeat
Okay,
about game
okay,
curriculum, I think you were mentioning about that.
okay, okay. About where we can encourage children, and the other way is when parents are saying that, my child is projecting a certain behavior, I want to change this. Or when we are talking of any aptitude test, such as the visual discrimination or the visual spatial skills, verbal reasoning, these things are low, we can even improve onto those skills. We can improve on a lot of developmental problems which otherwise would require counseling. And it's just like certain games, if they are played repeatedly, it starts showing changes in the behavior.
Absolutely. Okay, so I see that there is a lot of importance given to games, which today I think with the advent of the gadgets and all of that. So, do you think these gadgets are also equally important than playing the games like physically, or you take a toy and you think and you think so much as to what is going to be my next step? Does that help? The games that we play, like the video games or any of these gadget games that we have.
My opinion or my take is that, see, the gadgets or the video games are helpful to an extent. I recommend it all the more for senior citizens. But when it comes to children, there are two things. We ourselves at this age are often getting addicted. Every few
Yes.
minutes we'll check if a WhatsApp has come, if something has come. So it is highly addictive, which can be harmful. So if we cross certain time limit and we are constantly on the gadget, it is harmful. Secondly, researchers have proven that while you're playing a video game, your certain uh, skills get empowered, or certain part of the brain gets empowered. At the
Oh,
same time, your frontal lobe is affected when you're playing, which means your ability, one, of verbal reasoning, second, of controlling emotions is affected. So that
oh,
area which controls your emotions, or which kind of monitors that how you react in a certain behavior, that is getting affected. Now that obviously means that when you are in stress or when you are in any kind of problem, mentally you are not being stable, which can lead to a lot of psychological issues. It can also lead to instability. At the same time, one example, if I can give of my son, and I'm talking this about probably 15 years back, when my son was young and I used to show him the DVDs. I was on corporate jobs. So I used to travel 15, 20 days a month. And I had brought Ramayan and Mahabharat because I was at Kidzi, and I was in the vendor coordination, selecting the toys for children and selecting all the material. So when I saw this whole set of Ramayana Mahabharat DVDs, I collected a few for my son also. And one day I just decided of talking with him and asking him that, what do you learn from Ramayana? And I thought he'll talk of some values or something. And he actually said Dishum Dishum, which is, the bow and arrow and the fights are happening. So, which
yes.
element, visual element, catches the attention of the child is very difficult. And a lot of today's digital games have this distraction element, which are causing a very destructive mentality or thought process within the children. So, before 18, we are not able to filter these. That is why I do not recommend gadgets or too much of video gaming, though it has certain advantages, but physical games have far more advantages than those.
Perfect. That's, I think that is the answer that, answers to most of our parents and the audience today, the teachers as well, the educators who need to pass this information to the parents that, they are all. And today, if we see, given situation of this corona, we all got into online teaching, online training, and all of
Yes,
these, and the
yes,
amount of screen time that the children that we used to talk about, that limit the screen time, and now we have to offer that kind of screen time to the children. And I'll
correct.
tell you my personal experience that with my son. So when they are having their online classes, so by the side there is a chat that is going on about which game to play, and what is the next meet that we are going to have, and all of that. So I'm wondering if children are multitasking, or are they just simply getting distracted by by this advent of all of these gadgets, right? So you mentioned that the
Correct.
games,
Yes.
physical games are very, very important. So can you name like few games, like what are the kind of games that we should be giving to our children?
Okay. So, uh, I would have a collection of about 400-500 games at my own place. That's the minimum. There could be more, but yeah, that's the minimum that I have. Now, there are different types of games. One, there are a lot of skill building games. So these are mostly single player games, And
Okay.
it's not that these games are expensive. If we are going for imported brands, they are expensive. But currently, a lot of made in India games we see, and they fall roughly in the price range of 300 to 600, which is not so expensive. And they have multiple challenges. So each of these games cater to different skills. Some will have the comprehension skills, some will have visual logic, some will have a logical deduction or reasoning. Some require strategic steps to be done. So these are all single player games which can be taken, which have challenges. Second thing is there are a lot of card games which are 2 to 6 player, 2 to 4, 2 to 8 players games. Now, a lot of
Okay.
these card games basically create a lot of family bonding. So I believe that every house should have at least one or two such card games, which in the evening, just before going to sleep, also, if you play for 10 to 15 minutes, you are creating some kind of a bonding within the family on a regular basis. And these card games are not necessarily the deck of cards. These are like, for example, one of our favorite is Find It First. Now, this is just with multiple objects in it, and we have to find the common object or something. So it also builds the concentration, but at the same time, it is a lovely game to bond. So we have a range of card games now available on Amazon with us or in the shops. So this is another category that I believe every house should have. Third category is, there are a lot of Indian board games other than the business or the chess or the common ones. So lot of these board games today are themed at different things. Like they could be teaching you recycling, they could be teaching you business, they could be teaching you about stock exchange, they could be teaching you about uh, creating or planning a travel route. So multiple such board games are available, which are again in the range of 4 to 800, very affordable, and it can be replayed, and it caters to a wide range of age group. And one of our most favorite game within my family is, of course, the modern board games, which are comparatively lengthy. They take 45 minutes to 1 hour. But my husband, my 18-year-old son, lot of our neighbors who are adults, we also, get so engrossed while playing these games. At the same time, these games are replicating the real life economy, the real life resource management, or the retail, or the logistics, so many different parameters. And they are making you think on multiple parameters at the same time. So they are far more deeper than the regular games. So you could have a mix of all different kinds of games, or you could be, going to some game cafes or renting out these, because the modern board games are usually expensive between 3 to 10,000 range. So you could be renting out such games, but yes, this kind of a mixture will help cater to every possible thing. For a senior citizen, of course, it's altogether a different range.
So, would you suggest any or recommend any games for the early years, Mital?
For the early years, yes, if we are catering to 0 to 5 years or 0 to 2, I always say it's the five senses which are the most
Okay.
important. So anything, I mean, it may not be a game, because for 0 to 2 years, even your kitchen is a game board.
Yeah.
And if we understand how to make everything a play, we can cater to all these things. Just like, we are folding clothes, and we can ask the child to sort clothes and divide into mom, dad, and baby category, or divide all socks together, all shirts together, or pants together, any sorting activity. In the same way, planning out in the kitchen, or patterning, sequencing with the kitchen, and at the same time the five senses. So every kind of exposure to the touch, smell, um, um, the hearing, the auditory aspect, the visual discrimination, all this is good. 2 to 5, it is all kind of fine motor skills and gross motor skills. So motor development is something which is very important. And often parents feel that, motor development may just body build up ho raha hai, but no, There are researches which prove that if you are doing and stimulating certain balancing activity or doing certain physical activity or sports or any ball coordination kind of a move, play, this is developing the brain. And there has been a research which has proven that the children who are exposed to physical play and sports, uh, below 5 years, I'm talking of, this research was done mainly on 4 to 6 year olds. The children who were exposed to sports performed much better even in the academics as compared to those who are not playing. So 2 to 5 years is necessarily, the overall motor development that needs to be focused on. So in early years, these are all the things. The thinking will come in later, but these all aspects should be given importance in the early years.
Right, so well said. You know what happens, but then when it comes to games, like as the early years, the parents feel that, it's okay to play in the early years, but as they are growing, they're moving to higher grades, play becomes like something that is very
Secondly,
pricey. It's like a luxury that, oh yes, I got some time to play. And in their busy lives, if you see the schedule of the child, they're in the school and then they move to their classes, they have these extra classes and all of that. The playing games take a complete
correct.
back, right? Somehow, and whatever time they get, it's just on their gadgets, or just maybe talking to their friends, or it's just a television that is there in front of them. So how would you
Correct.
or what would you tell the parents or to the children, of the little older children, as to how they can utilize that little precious time that they get, and why is it important?
Yes. So usually parents will give importance up to 8 or max 10 years. The moment that higher studies start, you join a science class, you join a maths class, join this. And even in my games class, we have children up to 15 years, even at 10th standard. But I've seen so many parents that exams are coming, bunk the game class. So from
Yes.
last year, we have been little more firm and talking to parents. Now, I feel games are far more important after 13 years of age than the early years, because early years you are anyways given exposure in multiple areas. But the moment a child crosses 7th and 8th grade, then they do not get time to do anything except study. And study, I believe, is nothing but rote learning. So you are
Yeah.
only utilizing the brain to a certain extent, and you are developing only the lower order thinking skills when you are only focusing on studying. The higher order thinking skills are the most critical in that age, which are totally ignored. Even the schools do not have anything to develop these thinking skills. Now with the new education policy, thankfully these things are going to start getting incorporated into the curriculum. Even Modi ji is seeing so much importance into the games now. But this is one message I would like to give to the parents, that after 12 and 13 years of age, games are all the more important for two reasons. One, the children are under severe stress, so
Right.
it's very important that they get that stress management or that release of stress and have some fun element. At the same time, games, if selected properly, if the right kind of games are taken, they start developing the entrepreneurial development or the entrepreneurial skills in the children. We have a special class for children about 13 year olds. So only 13 to 18 year olds, children below 13 are not eligible for that class. And in that also we are playing games. So ultimately, the entrepreneurship skills that we talk of, they get developed through these kind of games. So it's very important.
I know, I can now feel the importance of game, and I'm sure this message is reached to the parents also, and to the educators who can pass this message to the parents, that playing games is just not about playing. It involves a lot of things. It involves your development, your life skill development, your future development, in the sense, like if you want to become an entrepreneur, you can start that from now itself. How the child can organize, how the child can strategize and move on with their career too later. So playing games, you know what, Mithil, this is something really nice. I think for the first time I've heard that we have a class for playing games. that, that is so
Yeah.
exciting.
I
So,
know. And there are parents who tell me that my child is not ready to go for a birthday party. They don't want to miss your class. So
class,
this is
I
one class the children never want to miss.
yeah. So, how did this idea crop up, and how was the response of the parents, Mithil?
Okay. The idea cropped up by one thing. When I was on jobs, I had joined a toy library for my son. But because I used to be out whole day, I didn't allow him to take the toys outside in the passage or play with friends with the fear of losing the parts and, returning it to the library. So then I decided one fine day I just brought in some games. And that he was allowed to play with all his friends. And we realized that, some games which are so interesting that when the children came to my house, and they initially watched cartoon, they suddenly started shifting to this interesting games because I was one mother who allowed all the kids to come and play with that game, because many parents these days, if the games are expensive, do not allow everyone to or the child to play unattended.
Right.
And the second thing that we did was when I left the job, during my last and second last job, there was a lot of in depth research going on, or thinking going on as to why children do not pick up English so well and why do they make grammatical errors. So, when I started researching on this, I came across, or I created a whole curriculum around this teaching English through play. So I began with a creative writing class, um, and in every session across the year, I made the children play games for half an hour, 30 minutes, which I don't think any curriculum or academic teachers do.
Would do
My
it.
children loved my class. Till date, a lot of students say we used to wait for that class because half an hour was game time. And the first half an hour, it was never an incentive that if you do this, I'll give you game. It was always play game first and then we do everything. It
Okay.
gave me amazing results. And around that time, we had just began with a game club. So then we completely switched over from an English class to only games class. The parents' response is very, very, I can say, still not uh, as good as probably a science or maths class would get. So the parents who have seen the results have continued sending their children for last 4 years, and
Wow.
the kids are still coming to me since last 4 years. And there are certain which really take time to absorb that game class. मतलब till last year people were like game class में क्या पैसा डालना या game class में क्या time pass करना. But when we
Got
changed the name to life skill development class, more parents started giving importance.
yeah.
Just that communication change, though for me the classes were the same. And now it's picking up. Now people are seeing that importance. So we have, the lockdown happened. Otherwise, we had children who were in 10th board or the 12th board. Even
Okay.
such parents had paid me the advance that my child will come even if he's appearing the 12th grade, because we made them play certain games and we made them see what's happening just by playing a certain game, what's happening to the brain. And yes, that way the acceptance has started growing big way now.
Yes, I'm so glad, Mithil, that we had this expert talk with you today. We learned so many things, that playing is, again, what I summarize is that playing is just not for children. It goes still, it's for the adults, even the
Yes,
senior citizens too. And I
yes,
remember you told one line that the video games are for the senior citizens. So, and in your biodata, you mentioned about brain age reversing. Am I right?
yes, yes.
Yes. So, what was
Reversing of the brain age, yes. So
reversing of
this
the
is, yes, so this is a biological fact that our brain starts aging at 30 and 40, much
right?
earlier than we could ever think of. At 30, we always feel we are young, and we feel the brain ages much later. But no, biologically, it starts shrinking at 30.
Okay.
And once the brain starts shrinking, a lot of functions start getting affected, but they start showing up maybe 20, 30 years later. Dementia is also a result of neurodegeneration. So, the shrinkage of the brain or the drying up of cells. Now, I have done a lot and lot of research into the neurology aspects also. And we do this brain fitness class for senior citizens or the workshop. And there are a lot of proven researches which prove that if we are constantly playing certain kinds of games, certain genres of games, even if the brain has aged to 16, it can get reversed to 40 if there is a constant stimulation given to it. So
Mhm.
if somebody is playing games at the senior age and are ensuring not just games, but there's also physical exercise and the right diet, you can stay away from all the neurodegenerative diseases like dementia, Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, all of these which are caused due to the shrinkage. We can stay away from them just by stimulating the brain. And also, one thing that I would like to mention, we look into history. If in Mahabharata we remember the Pachisi or the Chopad game was being played because of which the war occurred, or
Yes.
if we look at Shatranj, chess was originally played by kings, or
Yes.
even the world's most famous Greek warrior Achilles. Achilles also played a board game, a hunt game during the War of Troy with his cousin in the evenings. Now, if we look at history, all the board games we've never heard children playing. It is the adults who played board games and not the children. Children only played outdoors, it was the gilli danda or all that kind of stuff. But the board games were for adults. And the board games were a very important learning tool. Even today, in so many marriage customs, also, we have certain games played immediately after the wedding. So games had
Yes.
different functions. Like within the couple, they didn't know each other. So games were played to build rapport in them. Games were played by women. Games were played by kings. Because if I'm on the war, I cannot learn strategy. Then I cannot start thinking now what strategy should I apply. I mean, you will get killed by the time you start thinking. So the kings practice these board games to practice their strategic thinking. So the board games were always a tool for adults and not for children.
Got it. Okay. So I think that's something again new, because again now what we see in the board games, they have a age mentioned over there, that, and somehow as adults we have forgotten to have fun. But I'm sure after listening to you, Mithil, a lot of us will have changed our perception towards playing games, how important games are, not only for our life skill
I
development.
really wish that. Yes.
Yes, for our total development. And thank you so much, Mithil, for giving us your precious time to us and talking on such an
Thank
important
you.
topic about games, a tool for life skill development, not only for children, but also for adults of all age group. This is right from the early age.
Yes.
I would say 0 to 99 is what
Yes.
games are important. And keep continuing playing games. It builds and rapport with the family, with friends. It's for our own development. And I think this is something that we should, and not the gadgets, I would say. Sit,
Yes.
talk, relax, fight, strategize, all of these things, so that uh,
Yes.
that human touch is there, which I think we lost out during this last whole year. Even I would actually, when you said about age reversing, also I want to share an incident with you, that when we came out of corona, I remember that I would barely remember things. There was a phase where I just couldn't remember things. Maybe it was the side effect of the medicine or something like that. I started doing the puzzles, and I started doing working out on crosswords, and that has helped me to come out of that part. And I feel so glad that, Mithil, you spoke the same thing, and I was like, yes, oh, I did it correct then. Right. So
Yes.
thank you
Yes.
so much,
Yes.
Mithil, once again. It was a pleasure having you here on our parent station, Thursday for Toys. It was
Thank you
indeed a
so
pleasure.
much.
Thank you, Mithil.
Thank,
Hope to
yeah,
see you
thank you,
soon.
Hiran, for inviting. Yeah, it was indeed a pleasure sharing about games. Yeah.
Yes. So thank you, Small Wonders and Parent Station, for giving us this platform to invite Miss Mittal and speak about games, a tool for life skill development. I'll see you all again soon. Take care. Bye bye.
Bye.